the panel after lunch, do you think? Okay, so we have some questions for you first before we introduce panel. I'm going to ask them some questions. Then you're going to get 8 to 10 seconds to introduce yourself. Because they asked me to introduce you, so it did not take very much time. So you're just going to do it yourself, and it's going to be really fast so we can focus on content. Listen, I'm a mediator by trade, and in this panel, it's okay for us to cut each other off to make sure we keep moving it along. So here's my questions for you. By raise of hands, please. How many people heard the word big data a year ago? That's good. How many people in the room here use retargeting in meaningful ways that sell things, that actually enhance your marketing program? How many were doing it last December? That's impressive. How many people here retarget users who have never been on your site using services like Chango or et cetera? How many people here market to sames or similars by way of exchanges? All right, that's cool. Now types of retargeting. How many people do whole site retargeting? Anybody that touches your site, you follow them, right? Product retargeting, where you have a catalog, like AdRoll, where you have 3,000 things and you have liquid at. Anybody doing product retargeting? Search retargeting. Anybody here retargeting your high intent search PPC keywords? How about funnel retargeting? You get to step 3 in the funnel, they don't get to 4, you retarget them and say, but you really meant to buy something. Anybody, right? Psychographic retargeting. Anybody here going, I think I'll follow all the purchasing engineers who work for Fortune companies in Europe. Psychographic retargeting. Content remarketing. Anybody blowing out your social amplified content touches with retargeting? How about Google YouTube remarketing? Anybody doing YouTube remarketing? Okay. So that gives us a lay of the land here for who's actually using these tactics and how we can serve them. Now, with a 5 to 10 second limit, I would like the panels, okay, 8 to 12 seconds. I'd like you to please tell me your name, the company you work for, and what your role is. Ready, set, go.
I'm George Popstefanov. I'm the president and founder for PMG Digital Agency. I do from strategy, manage the company.
Okay.
I'm Chris Greene, and I'm head of revenue for Yieldbot, and we're going to hopefully provide a little bit of an alternative perspective to retargeting on this panel.
Great.
I'm James, Chris's cousin, but he misspelled his name. I'm CEO of Magnetic. We do search retargeting.
Serious expert on attribution analytics. I saw you speak in Chicago. It was wonderful.
And David Chen from Grainger. I'm the senior SEM manager.
When I spoke with David preparing for this panel, he pretty much interrogated me about what the value was going to be to you people. So we're very glad to have all of you on our panel today. Okay, so you guys can go in whatever order you want. I'd like to know what the most successful retargeting play you've ever personally seen and why did it work. Take about 30 seconds to a minute and answer the question. Anybody? What worked?
I'll go first since retargeting is not necessarily what we do or our area of expertise, but from our research into the marketplace, it certainly seems like product retargeting is the area of the market that, from a conversion perspective, has had the most impact. And you know, for the perspective of what Yieldbot does in terms of targeting real-time intent as opposed to retargeting, you know, I think that we could play a very complementary role in top of the funnel marketing in bringing potential new customers to product pages that could then be retargeted successfully.
Retargeting success stories. Anybody have a retargeting success story?
Well, I mean, just launching retargeting as a company, there's a lot of buy-in that you need to do. It's something that could be unfamiliar to your company. I pitched it as paid search retargeting, as a top of funnel, pulling in people that have never been to our site before, and using that to really drive new customers into our funnel. So
I like the whole concept of looking at what works in your marketing program and amplified it. Has anybody here in this room ever taken an inventory of all the things that work on your website, traffic from various sources, search keywords, everything, and gone, I think I'm going to create an inventory and figure out how to squeeze more out of what already works with retargeting? Okay, that's what we hope you'll do at the end of this session. Any retargeting success stories here?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I have one. And before, like 2 weeks ago, it was just segmented creative, to where like the more and more the user touches the client side, we change the messaging in the creative that we're sending. But then we recently actually launched segmented creative only through Facebook Exchanged. And so basically we do segmented creative, and then we change the text message on Facebook. So we just introduce the brand, then we give them an offer code specific to Facebook. And the surprise was we didn't only got a lot of orders, but we got a lot of click-based orders, which is something that everybody's interested when it comes to retargeting. So
Super cool. That's another question I have for the audience. How many people here do thoughtful and intentional creative segmentation based on when in the attribution chain users are touched with retargeting? Good, good. Can our panel speak to the importance of segmented creative for retargeting touches? Anyone? Yes, no?
So, I mean, doing we've talked about this a few times already today, right? So the fact that people generally don't have dynamic creative. I can tell you on the campaigns that we do, which is, you know, search retargeting campaigns, the difference between the performance when you are dynamically inserting a keyword into a display ad, or actually have segmented your display campaigns into different buckets, preferably at least hundreds of them, is unbelievable. I mean, orders of magnitude improvement when you start to have lots of different creatives targeted to the various different strategies you've got.
Right, because setting a gazillion cookies, that just actually sometimes doesn't matter if you're not taking advantage of the cookie segmentation with associated creative. One of the panelists, when we were discussing this session, told me that was it you, that you were getting sick of shitty creative for general site-wide retargeting for crappy top-of-the-funnel traffic.
yes.
Could we speak to the Tao of top and bottom of the funnel? Panel, I've seen a few different case studies where someone was running psychographics from Facebook or from LinkedIn into a website. They came in with product retargeting or funnel retargeting, and it worked just really well, but they were not looking at it in a true attribution model. They turned off the top of the funnel because the CPA was too high, and it all went to crap. Like, tell me your experience with following traffic from the top of the funnel through the process and out bottom of the funnel amplification.
My favorite example of this, so this happens a lot, I think, that we're talking about retargeting, and let's talk about two different kinds of retargeting, right? So retargeting based on your site and retargeting based on someone who hasn't visited your site, whatever that is. I remember, it was a little while ago now, probably 9 months ago, being on the phone with an ad agency, and our campaign at Magnetic was about to be cancelled. They said, you know what? Your campaign doesn't have the same metrics as the other retargeters on the campaign. We dig a little deeper. Everyone else on the campaign is doing site retargeting. So they are telling us that by bringing new people on, we should be getting the same metrics as retargeting the people who've already been visiting your site. Now, I think everyone in this room would accept that you're going to pay a different price for a new visitor versus an existing visitor. They turned off the campaign. Guess what happened? All the 4 retargeting partners, their results in the tank.
I think that's a really good point. You know, we drive a lot of new traffic to e-commerce businesses, and you know, we generally see in the neighborhood of 95 to 98% new visitors to sites, and we have a lot of conversations with customers about, you know, return on ad spend and cost per acquisition models that are supposed to match up with, for example, you know, branded search terms, which, you know, are more bottom of the funnel type models. And I think that on the marketing side, that there needs to be a clearer perspective on the value of top of the funnel traffic driving to conversion traffic driving, in terms of, you know, what those customer, you know, you got to be looking at the lifetime value of the new customer as opposed to converting a customer that's already been there and potentially even purchased, or a customer that's already familiar with your brand.
Which one of you is Grainger? Is that you?
Yes.
So you're the one who shared with me the way you're using audience targeting for people who have not ever been into your site and driving them into your site. And could you explain to the audience how that program works? Because that's one of the cleverest things that I've heard in quite a while.
Okay, well, I mean, essentially we're using search retargeting solely to drive new customers in if they have a cookie on our site.
But not first-party search retargeting, not people who have ever been to your website.
Exactly, right.
Right.
Those are actually excluded. So all the new people who come to our site, from that point on, they get cookied, been on our site, and that gets passed on to our site retargeting. So it's more of a, there's an ecosystem of bringing in new people and then continuing that message and messaging them in a different way other than just, hey, you've been on our site, buy this product. It's, hey, we think you're a new user. Let's treat you a little bit differently.
So since you shared that with me, I did it. Like
Okay.
we have a pretty large client that's trying to do like 10,000 trial installs in a month, and using Chango, we excluded people who have ever been to our site. We drove them in just as a source for new intent, and then retargeted those people, and a substantial percentage of them hook on the second or third touch. That's an amazing strategy. Are y'all following that? Yes? Do you guys know what third-party search retargeting is? That's what you do? Which one of you does that?
Right, so if you mention
Explain it.
Chango again without mentioning magnetic
That's why
in
I'm
the same
asking
breath, I'm going to get up there and strangle you.
Well, please. I did that to set you up so you could do it. I don't have any interest in Chango except it works, and I promise we'll try magnetic media next week.
Excuse me a second.
Hey, I'm here to extract value for you, the audience, and I don't really care who you buy.
Can I follow up with David with a question? Because I'd be interested to know in terms of your retargeting that you did for new users, new site visitors, how you parse the economics of that. Meaning
Only if we could follow with an explanation of what magnetic does afterwards.
Fine.
Okay, go ahead.
So we really piloted this idea, and it's very general right now, where it's by categories, so product categories. So it's a very general messaging right now. And the idea is that, does it work or not? We found out that it does work. It works very well. So then next it's, can we actually get incremental gains to go more specific? If yes, then we'll do that, of course. But if it takes more time, more effort, there's more cost, then maybe that's not the right way to go.
But what were the economies of scale in terms of what you would pay to bring in somebody new versus what you would pay to bring in somebody that you think might convert immediately?
Got it. So like the return on ad spend.
And some of the ones you bring in by third-party search retargeting do convert immediately, right?
Yes, they do. Absolutely. The return on ad spend is actually on par with paid search, and actually better in some cases. So looking at search marketing as a whole, I'm actually thinking about taking budget and siphoning it off to bring in these new customers.
So now, please, for those in the audience who are not familiar with third-party search retargeting, and the reason that I'm focusing on that is because A, it's dead-eye stuff. It could be used for everything. Like years before, well not years, but a full year before there were third-party search retargeting mainstream services, we were tagging up our AdWords for the top 20 keywords and doing Google remarketing, right? So could you please explain how third-party search retargeting works?
Sure, so how it works for us and everyone in the space is we capture searches from a variety of places. We don't capture it from Google or Yahoo.
Where do you get the data?
We get it from all of those other search boxes that were being referred to everywhere. All of those, it could be a shopping comparison site, it could be an e-commerce site, it could be a community site, it could be a product review site, any site that has some indication of intent.
You go out and make deals with them and buy the data.
Exactly. So then you get massive user databases of what people have been searching
and
for.
they're cookied. You're buying the cookies.
Yes, that's right. And we drop the cookies.
I got a question for you. Do you feel the quality of the user is lower because they're not? Because sometimes in paid search we'll exclude Google search partners because we'll see that their performance is drastically lower for certain clients. So do you see similarities within your networks?
So we actually think that the quality of the user is higher in most cases, but it's different. So for example, if you are on a shopping comparison site shopping for a flat panel TV, you're in market for a flat panel TV. I mean, there's just no question about it. If you're but that's one category of sites. You could be on another kind of a site, which is maybe a community that likes new technology used in televisions. Well, that's not so clear that that's intent. And so companies like ours use those different levels of intent to widen and narrow the number of keywords and the way that we use keywords. And we think of keywords as different by data provider.
So here's a question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So
you said that was around.
when you're, I promised that I would. When you're targeting people in DSPs across the major exchanges, and the segmentation for the targeting is search intent, third-party search intent, it's a really interesting phenomena because it separates the time that the user searched from when they see what is a banner ad. It's not a search result. So panel, what have you learned about what type of creative is required to get a meaningful click out of these people with a banner a while after they've searched, right?
I've seen search retargeting work. The biggest problem is exactly that. Because what we do is once we create a cookie pool and we segment those users, we basically send them the same creative. Come back to my site, come back to my site. The thing with search retargeting, it's almost like targeting users based on what they search for. So if they search for a TV or a LED TV or a flat panel TV, you want your ad to be specific to that. The problem we hear from a lot of clients and marketers is, well, that's only 5,000 searches. It will cost me $500,000 for each creative. And so creative has always been the problem of marketers catching up to the technology when it comes to retargeting.
I think there's a couple of other issues going on, and I wanted to ask James about that too, which is, first of all, we think, and one of the problems that we're trying to solve is that we think that there's orders of magnitude more value in first-party data than utilizing the third-party data and then going and tracking users and finding them later based on expressed intent. And we also feel like there's orders of magnitude more value in real time. So as it relates to your shopping comparison relationships, what about the idea of trying to move some of your publisher relationships into being able to recognize the intent in real time and ad match there, as opposed to cooking the user and finding them later on? And oh, by the way, that's what Yieldbot does.
Yeah. So we also do some of that as well. So we don't only buy on exchanges, we also buy ad impressions from our partners. So, the review site will have a partnership with us. If we
Classic search PPC.
Yeah. So we'll buy from 3 different types of people. One is the exchanges, of course. Everyone's on the exchanges, but that can be very similar inventory. So we also buy, amazingly, from other ad networks. So people who have, selected and have the right to the remnant inventory on very high-profile sites, we'll buy from them direct because it's not on the exchanges. And we'll also buy from our partners, our data partners direct. So we'll do all of those things. And I agree, that combined with recency and one inexpensive way that you can get to customize the creative is you can actually start inserting the keywords in the same creative. So one creative, but at least it's got what you just searched for in the bottom. So at least there's some identifier, and it doesn't get that creepy if there's a little bit of time between the search and the time you use the person's search, because we don't usually remember exactly what it was we searched for. So
we've had a lot of luck with various clients where we look to first-party search PPC conversion, like in AdWords and Bing, and then take the creative out of that and put that creative inside a banner ad and mess with the time delay in it, and it's surprising how well that works. Okay, do you have something to say?
Well, yeah, actually, so when we're talking about search retargeting, it's a very different audience. When they search in like safety gloves, I'm not going to show them necessarily a safety glove that they're searching for specifically. What I want to do is to brand Grainger, because how many people know what Grainger actually is?
I bought shrink wrap
Not that
from
many
you.
people. Okay, well, there you go. But we're internet retailer number 15. No one knows who we really are. So I want people to know what our value propositions are, and to get us into their top of mind, and then eventually they might come to our site. But I don't want to sell them something.
Right. So you're enhancing the brand experience.
Right. Exactly.
Which is content is amazing for that. Retarget your content.
Right.
Okay. I want to take a little bit of a left turn here. Surprise. How y'all doing? Have 9 minutes left here. Hey, I came from Minnesota just to do this panel today. How fun is that? Okay. So woo. Having fun? Okay, so does anybody here give a rat's ass about keyword not provided anymore?
I do. I mean, as a full digital agency, SEO is something that we derived a lot of data from. So as Google user base continues to grow, and the number is they get 1 million new users just from Android activation, and more is moving to mobile, I think that number is only going to grow further and further. So I think we have to do something about that.
What we've seen actually was the opposite of what we thought we were going to see, which is in real-time intent targeting based on a user refer coming from search, that we thought that the value of that user landing on the publisher page would convert higher, i.e. click more, buy more. And what we've actually seen is that the data that we're able to use in a site session, meaning the click path that they're using from page to page within, say, a site like Better Homes and Gardens, is more informative and more valuable and performs better in deciphering and understanding the intent of the user and converting for the marketer. So keyword not provided, although certainly it's a valuable data point, data signal, and certainly a very strong one. There are a lot of other data signals available to harvest real-time intent that we've been able to see perform better.
Yeah, so I agree. We've actually never used it. So I think it's a serious bummer that it's not available, and it's cheeky of Google to do that, but we've never used it, so it's actually helped us.
Yeah, like new technologies have rendered that less important for me.
Well, I mean, in the context of search retargeting, we get the intent by the query, right? So if a certain percentage of that is no longer available, that makes a big impact on who we can target. I don't think it's 40%. I've spoken with 5 of the top 15 internet retailers. It's not anywhere near 40%, but I mean, it's still important.
All right. Do you think that big data is ever going to replace top of the funnel thinking? Do you think that the human race is ever going to be wired up enough to where we're not going to have to worry about AdWords, or we're not going to have to worry about Facebook ads, or things like that? Like, do you think that top of the funnel is going to be minimized over time, or do you think it's always going to be this healthy tau? Like, what's your feelings about that?
So I don't think it's going to make any difference.
I don't either.
Big data is just more information about everything that you already know about, and you need to get more more information is enlightenment. That's just good. So either you get more information at the bottom end of the funnel, in the middle of the funnel, at the top of the funnel, outside the funnel. All of that information is better, and will just enhance your ability to do that part of your marketing campaign. And in fact, big data when people talk of it as a tool, it's just an idea. It's not a tool.
Big data is whatever you say big data is. Big data is whatever you say it is.
I like to think of it as, years ago, people used to think of everything between the Earth and the outside of the universe as ether. We now know there's a lot of other things in there, and that's what big data is. We're just learning more and more and more things. We call it big data. That's like calling ether everything above the Earth. There's billions of other things in there, and in the end, we will no longer refer to it as big data.
What we tell our clients is, if you sell basket weaving supplies, and you set up a table outside the mall and say, hey, I'll give you $50 if you go to our site on your mobile phone. And then later on, you retarget those people to sell them basket weaving supplies, it's not going to work out very well. Retargeting is like a horse, crap in and crap out. Retargeting amplifies amazing marketing, right? Okay, so I'd like to know the top 3 questions that you would ask a potential retargeting partner of any kind. If somebody calls you up and says, hey, here's my 3-second elevator speech, what are the questions that you ask them before you either ask them to go away or follow it?
Well, actually, I have one. So I think an antiquated model is CPM modeling, pricing and CPM. We have to get away from that. One of my requirements very soon will be you have to be on rev share. You have to have a stake in it as well. You have to have something that you can prove that generates value for us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's cool.
I think mine would be, are you a whitelist provider? Like, do we have could we see the list of sites or publishers that you're buying from with number one? Now my second would be, are you enabled to be on Facebook Exchange? Because we're seeing some great results with it. And Peter, I'm not giving you a plug. I just really believe that Facebook retargeting works. And number three would be, do you have some system similar to Double Verify? Since we're moving more and more to real-time bidding, I've seen sometimes marketers bid against themselves. So is there a system in place to where we could prevent overlap and also bidding and raising our own real-time bidding?
We've seen that a lot too, conflicting exchange stuff.
Yes.
I'm going to flip that upside down, and I'm going to say the one question you need to ask them is, what questions do you have of me? Because, so I'm the guy making that pitch. I'm not usually the guy asking for a retargeting partner.
That's magnetic media, third-party search retargeting.
But the thing, okay, I love you now. The thing that we try to do with our clients is actually understand what your objectives are, and we have actually started saying no to some people, because if your objective is to have our product perform exactly like an even lower funnel product, then neither of us is going to be successful. So I would encourage you to ask your retargeting partner, what questions do you have of me? And do they ask you intelligent questions? Do they care about what you're doing? Or are they just there to say, I want your money?
2013 is going to be the year of 1,000 freaking DSPs. Because DSPs are really easy to make. They're really easy to make.
We could create one right now. Let's do it.
I could. What are you going to say?
Hackathon.
Oh, actually, I can concur, because they pitched and they did ask that.
Hey!
So what about the whole notion of smarter retargeting, where you take into consideration analytic qualities that take place on the page, and you go, I'm not just going to retarget anyone who touched this product. I'm going to retarget people who touched this product, stayed on the site for more than 45 seconds, and looked at least one related product, right? Right. I would ask retargeting vendors what kind of intelligence they bake into the touch to optimize it. Do you guys have any experience with that you could share? Yes, no?
I think one is, it's pretty recent, but we've started to use Google Tag Manager is one of them, but a tag management solution to also not retarget all the traffic, because marketers sometimes drive shitty traffic to our website and they expect us to remarket. And
like a horse.
Like a horse, exactly. So by using a tag management solution, you could say, okay, any traffic that comes with this parameter, and you can segment by the branded, non-branded, top-level non-branded, or high-value customers. And also from social media, we give a lot of value to Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads, right, and the retargeting we do there. So really using a technology like your tag management solution to fire the pixels based on where they come from and use logic to really build a good cookie pulse or buckets.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was going to, David said it earlier, and I think it's an incredibly powerful idea that not that many people do, which is negative targeting. Just removing other things from your targeting segment so that it doesn't confuse what you're doing. You know, however you want to segment it. That idea, very few people do, and it can really, make your results much clearer.
I love the idea of an exclusion pixel. Yeah. Like, ask your retargeter if they have exclusion pixels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one of the things that retargeters and real-time targeters like us will suffer from as you go through, as the marketers get more detailed about, what they want, who they want to target in terms of how long they've been on their site for retargeting and stuff like that, or other parameters, is that you're just going to run into some volume issues, right? So that goes back to top of the funnel stuff, where we were asking about what's the value of a top of a funnel new customer versus a customer that's already familiar with your brand or purchased on your site. The more parameters that marketers are going to put on the value of the retargeting cookie, or in our case the real-time intent keyword value, you're gonna shrink volume and lessen your chance probably of bringing in a new customer.
Just on that idea of diminishing volumes and price, one of the things that I think is a very, very important concept that people maybe don't want to embrace is that keywords that you have in search, that you've used, that have worked tremendously in search, that is absolutely no reason that they would work anywhere else. So in search, what you're doing is you're bidding on an undervalued item, right? You're trying to find some particular version that will convert at a great price for you. And in almost every other instance of a keyword, whether it's a contextual keyword or whether it's a search retargeting keyword or some other keyword, the value of that keyword is flattened. The person who bought it it's exactly the same for them everywhere.
I would also bring up another point, which is that I think marketers, especially ones that have familiarized themselves with the lexicon of search specifically, need to open up the thinking that they have in terms of the semantics of different types of keyword targeting. Keyword targeting in search is different than keyword targeting in real-time premium publisher intent, which is what we do, or retargeting, which is what Magnetic does. So,
exactly. So
there are new semantics and new lexicons and new keyword hierarchies that are being created, and this is really just the beginning of that. And I think that, that's a very important part of our value proposition that we bring to marketers, is that the lexicon and semantics of this is going to be different, and you have to become comfortable with that, and you have to familiarize yourself with that, and then the onus is on us to teach them what those are.
Can I get an amen?
So, I mean, as a brand, though, you need a starting point, right? Like, you can't just develop something that you don't really know exists, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we use paid search as a starting point, and then we refine from there.
Using it as a proxy is absolutely fine, but when we come back with a keyword list that doesn't look exactly like that keyword list, you guys have to know that we understand our data.
Exactly, right. So same with mobile, too. They share paid search in mobile. It doesn't really translate.
It's a great way to start, but it's not where to end.
Exactly.
Okay, as we wind down to conclusion here with the extra few minutes that we were just given, because you're so darn engaging, I would like each of you to tell me one thing that is short, that is such an amazing hack, such an incredible tip that you would never give away to an audience ever, that would just fully empower them. The big secret that you know that you just want to cut off their heads and pour it in. What's the big thing you want them to know that you would never tell anybody, not even your mom?
Home Depot's here, so I can't say.
Yes, you can. Home Depot, promise not to tell? Anybody have any huge secrets? Come on. Come on, a big one. A master plan, anything?
I mean, I don't think it's a secret, but there are two main tenets of the philosophy that we bring to the market are first party and real time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'll share that usually costs money to do is go through your entire program of top of the funnel. Look at everything that drives traffic that converts in a great way or converts in almost a good enough CPA way. Literally take all the great stuff and go, how can I use retargeting to squeeze more out of this? Retargeting is not what is going to get you the massive volume that you need to run your program. But it's a way, if you have a keyword that converts at 8.5% for a nice CPA, it's probable that if you do it correctly, then you're going to be able to squeeze a few more points out of that without dramatically impacting the CPA, right? If there's something in your marketing program, be it a source or a site referral, does anybody here do dynamic site referral retargeting? Okay, so this will be my give it up. So we have a client that gets OEM traffic from the national big branded website. It's a car dealership. Any car people here? Any car people? Good. So so Honda.com sends a lot of traffic to this client's website, but they're not allowed to do anything with their homepage at all because it gets OEM traffic. So what we did was we set up dynamic retargeting cookie based on referral source so that they follow those users around regionally, and it dramatically increased their main conversion. That's like their best conversion thing, is that OEM traffic. So what I want you to do is I want you to take inventory of all your top of the funnel stuff that works amazing, and then just go, how can I get a few more points out of this? Raise your hand if your boss would think it was pretty cool if you just walked in and found your 3 major sources and found another 1.5 in conversion without affecting the CPA, right? It would be big. So is there anything else that any of the panel members would like to say to our audience before we leave?
Well, I think the critical miss that I've seen in a lot of organizations is that we still think of search marketing as like paid search, retargeting, and you do your own thing. You do display, you do email. But there really isn't
Holistic?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't like an adoption of the idea that everything has to be really tied together. I know we all know that, but are we actually practicing that in reality? I think as search marketers, we are more analytical than some other disciplines, and we are poised to lead and really go into other channels and say, what's the iterative approach to testing? How do we make it a little bit better, a little bit better?
But it's not a given that we'll be the media buyers of the next generation if we don't step up.
Exactly, right, exactly. But I think we are uniquely poised to kind of take the reins and lead with that.
So I want to, there was an idea here earlier about all of our ability to influence our peers, the people who work for us, and one level up in the organization. And I'd like to point out a little disconnect that I often get. I do a fair amount of speaking on these panels, and I meet a lot of people. And often I'll say something that everyone in the room is going to nod their head on, which is, for example, you should value a new customer different than an existing customer. And everyone goes like this. But I can tell you, when we get buys from whether they're from agencies or clients direct, that's not the way that works. So if I could ask all of you to do one thing, if you all nodded your head when you agreed with that, if you could all tell all your peers, everyone who works for you, and one level up, that would immensely improve marketing, because we would start actually having buys that come in to us and to everybody else that valued the buy appropriately, which just generally doesn't happen in the world we live in.
That's brilliant.
Hear, hear. And I would just say that being relatively new to the search industry, that's not my background. I'll brown nose a little bit and say that I think that this event, I've been to a bunch of events now in the last 9 months around the industry, and I think this event is far and away the highest and most interesting and best conversation.
Really intellectual,
yeah,
high level.
So
Up to MediaPost. Come on, MediaPost. Yeah.
Can I get an amen for MediaPost?
And mine will be kind of short and kind of rant. Please stop serving shitty creative. Take the time, invest, and serve a good targeted creative like you would do with paid search. So.
Dear @AdRoll, turn off your FBX retargeting. Okay, well, with that, we'll thank you. We'll thank you very much for this time. Hope you have a fantastic time here for the rest of the conference. On the shameless self-promotion, I have a new Wiley book about community management coming out January 24th, and I'm keynoting SES London to release it. Hope you all friend all of us on LinkedIn, and everybody have a fantastic time and safe travels.
Thank you, guys. That was clearly a very interesting panel. I think clearly we got a new nonprofit charity organization that's to make sure horses get better food. So coming up next, we're going to make everybody get up, get a little exercise, walk around. Don't walk too quick because you will huff and puff and might faint from the lack of oxygen. But we're going to break into roundtables now. That's going to start at 12:15. That'll go for both.